Carl and Lou here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for sure. And it is the Nasties as we are slowly creeping our way towards the end of this video series. We're now heading off to Mardi Gras. Woo. Over in New Orleans. It is Mardi Gras Massacre, the 1978 American horror film written and directed by Jack Weiss. It is a semi-sequel of the 1963 film Blood Feast. This is debatable. This is something that people say, but it isn't necessarily true. I found it difficult to find any confirmation that this is actually, or if it's not just considered it because of a similar theme that it has in regards to resurrecting a goddess and the ritual nature of killing people, women in particular. So, Blood Feast, of course, is another nasty. Go check out the videos. Did that ages ago. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly it. Very, very silly. Very, very.
Picture bits of that one just because it was so
odd.
The setup, everything was odd and
Yep, absolutely. Of course, it is a video nasty, banned in the United Kingdom upon its release and given an X rating in the US. Now, it should be noted that this film remains unavailable in the UK. However, not for the reason you think. It's simply this. It has not been resubmitted to the BBFC for a certification since. That's it.
People can't be bothered.
It's distributor, isn't it? It requires someone to pick it up and decide to spend the money and go down the route of trying to. Because we've got to resubmit it. It's because you want it to release it. Are you going to be able to recoup the cost and sales of it being on Blu-ray, DVD, or wherever it might be? Of course, an argument it would be, but I, after seeing it, don't actually think it really would be worth the time. Is it a good movie? No. It's not a good movie at all. In fact, I swear to Christ, it feels like it repeats the same things over and over and over again. Hell, if you want to see some naked women, go nuts. That is what this movie will give you.
Because soundtrack's good. Soundtrack's funky, man.
The soundtrack has some funkiness. It's concise enough. It tells a story from beginning, middle, and end.
It's even got some extra angles that you didn't really need.
Ask for. We'll get into that, I suppose, as I give a brief rundown of the movie, because we watched this quite a few months ago, so memory's a little hazy on it, but we're going to do the best we can. A quick rundown of the major cast. Kurt Dawson as Sergeant Frank Herbert, Gwen Armin as Sherry, William Metzel as John, Laura Mishk Owens as Shirley Anderson, and then just because the cast was so random and listed what it is, Kathy Lacey as Disco Girl 1, Nancy Dancer as Disco Girl 2. It made me laugh that they were one of the higher billed characters in it.
I'd want to be accredited as Disco Girl, man.
So, of course, it takes place in New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's stop there for a second. Do you think that came across quite well in the movie? No? No, it predominantly just takes place in bars and hotel rooms.
Yeah, it says it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you might see people, I think if you see a few people with beads in around the bars, nothing like screamed New Orleans. You might have a couple of street shots, but nothing said that to me overall.
Near the end, you kind of do have a bit about Mardi Gras, a sort of paradey kind of thing like that. And bear in mind, it's 1978, so maybe it wasn't quite as full on. Tits and beads as then as it is now. Tits and beads. So a man named John arrives at a bar searching for what he wants, the evilest prostitute. John, William Metzel, he's bad. I'm going to say it. I suspect it might be direction and writing more than anything else. I think it's likely he was told to do it in a way that seems disconnected from reality.
Don't blink.
Don't blink. That's it. That's it. Don't blink. Be wide-eyed.
That's intense.
And just say these basic lines. And it's fucking awful. And his interaction with these girls in these bars where it's like, are you the most evilest prostitute? Are you the most evilest... Or you just say prostitute. Are you the evilest girl? Oh, no. Mary over there is really evil. Yeah. And it's just like... He also doesn't seem like... He seems a bit stupid.
Yeah.
In that fact that they just go, yeah, she's evil. And he's like, oh, great, you're evil. Off you go then. You know, it's like... What do you mean by evil? What do you mean? No one ever... Annoying as well. These working girls never ask him questions. They're just like, okay, yeah, I'm as evil as you want me to be.
Yeah.
It's like, wouldn't you be a bit wary?
Like, if you could flirt, you don't understand. You'd think you kind of, I suppose, if you're just paying for it anyway, but flirt a bit more with them and go, oh, who here would do the despicable acts and stuff like that?
Yeah.
None of that. It's just
Well,
All
even
right.
it was like, yeah, what's the most evil
Ask
thing you've ever
Jeeves.
done? You
Yeah.
know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he ends up being directed to Shirley, who agrees to leave him for a sum of money. And at his home, he asks her to lie on a table. So you kind of have this like, well, it's actually a hotel room more than anything else because it's a hotel. But like you have this like standard lobby and all that, and then you've got this gigantic fucking room at the back. It's a weird bloody place where he's created an altar and things like that. And immediately you kind of get this stupid aspect where he's like, hey, just lie naked on this table, and then he comes back in wearing like a robe and a big old mask. And she's not like, hey, what the fuck's going on?
No.
She's like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool. He pours oil in her, starts to massage her, and said about the nudity, and then starts to tie her down to the table. This is the scenes that get repeated more than anything else. This same sequence of events, which is naked woman on the table, oil massage, full nudity, so go nuts if that's your jam, and then he kills them, eviscerating her, removes her heart, and offers it on an altar in an Aztec sacrifice to the goddess Kotel. So again, his acting here is pretty fucking bad. It's not overtly gory either, anything like that. When he's cutting into the chest like that, it's so obviously fake. Like the visual image and change, and of course it has to be, and I'm not complaining about that. It's 1978, super low budget.
It looks like they kind of got one of them resuscitation dolls.
Yes, exactly
like
that.
Like a rectangle, almost like box chest, and they've obviously just put animal innards in there.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah. But initially, when it first sort of happens, the very first murder, you're like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's not too bad and all that kind of thing. But you're going to see this at least 3 to 4 times again. And each time is long. It pads the movie out quite horrendously.
I think he maybe enjoyed massaging him a bit. Oh no, can we go again?
Yeah, you just got to keep... But then I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure like the massage scenes are always up close. So it probably is just repeat footage.
Maybe.
All done in the exact same go and just filmed over and over again.
They didn't have any like black women, did they? So like, didn't have to worry
There was
about
nothing. Yeah, there was. Yeah, it was all white women. So yeah. Anyway, Sergeant Frank Herbert, which is Kurt Dawson's character, and his partner are assigned to Shirley's murder case after her body is found on train tracks in the city. So he, John dumps the bodies in and around the city afterwards, not really trying to cover his tracks at all. Through this, he starts to question other prostitutes and ends up meeting Sherry. Yes. Yeah. So, and from her, he discovers that the man that Shirley was with that night had an unusual gold ring. This part did my nut in. This part drove me crazy when he's questioning Sherry about the man. And she's I don't really remember anything about him. He said he wore a gold ring. And I'm like, there is no way you would have forgot this man. No. Here's the thing. John doesn't look nondescript.
No,
he is a big man. Tall, built, with a very unusual face. Wide-eyed, not blinking, and asking about the evilest fucking working girl. You're going to remember this. You're going to remember more than a gold ring. Why was a gold ring the thing that stood out about him?
Weird.
I know story-wise and writing-wise, it's done on purpose because, of course, if she said, hey, he looked like this.
They'd be like, okay, we'll go.
Cool, you'll probably find him.
Scout other bars and find him.
Or put like a freaking picture out there, so forcing him to not be able to continue his work. But God, is it done? Yeah. Dumb. So these are the two main plot points we now focus on. We have John as he searched bars for the evilest working girl going, and then we have Frank Herbert, the sergeant, and his attempt to find him. But then we also detour. Good God, do we detour? Yeah. We detour with Frank and Sherry falling in love, hanging out.
There's something montage, you go on a date.
Yeah, and all of that takes place. I remember we thought it was a joke, it was like a comedy where like you get this montage of doing all these things, and then they cut and go, oh God, that was a really busy day. Yeah, it literally is for these guys. And then like to throw some drama in later in the movie, they have a massive row. He slaps her, and they split up. Only to then get back together at the end when she's in threat. And you're like, wait, why is there a love drama here? Yeah. And I got no problem with having like Frank hook up with this working girl because he likes her and stuff like that. But it ain't interesting to watch. Particularly as this takes place along the side of John stalking the strip clubs and bars for more victims, always doing the exact same thing, tying them to the table, eviscerating them in the same fashion, with the same crappy effects, with very little explanation as to what his goal is. All right, we know he's offering his heart up as tribute. Yeah. What the goal.
Yeah.
Now we find that he wants to resurrect this goddess, and this is apparently it and stuff, and it's a certain number at the end. But having a sort of explanation along the way, having John, because there are times when he seems so detached, where he sits down with one of the girls and he buys a load of food from a Chinese restaurant, which is one of the things that actually gets him caught out.
Yeah.
Which I thought was actually an interesting angle, a way to do it. But that side of things and stuff like that, why? Why does that matter? Why is it not the moment she's in? Is it because she has to be happy? It has to be agreeable? You can't just grab them and force them to the altar?
Yeah.
This is stuff that I feel like we developed and kind of... Because one thing you could argue with Blood Feast at least does is it makes it clear what its goal is and why it's happening and what he wants.
Yeah, a lot of films as well, they tend to have like a side... A lot of these films sometimes have a sidekick. Someone to kind of bounce off like the exposition over.
An Eagle, yeah.
I need this woman, I need this heart, I need an evil heart, and all the rest of it. Sire, what can I get you?
Yeah, an Eagle would work here, because then we could also keep John in the shadows.
Yeah, or have him read a book out, or read from a text that says what he's got to do, or something. But yeah, it was just a bit like, oh, this scene again. You know what could have really worked as well. So we do have an Eagle character that effectively takes on the role of John, a good-looking guy that gets to work and goes and all that. But then when he brings her back to the hotel, the apartment, the person in the mask is someone we don't see. Yeah.
Then at the end, of course, we eventually reveal that it's actually Sergeant Frank Herbert.
Yeah.
And it was, the same person kind of thing. I think, that could have been something. But eventually, of course, John's crimes do sort of get tracked down as the police get more and more desperate, come under a lot of pressure from the press and the boss. It's the Chinese delivery food person who delivered the Chinese food.
Yeah.
It looked really good as well, by the way. That's one thing. The film does focus on that food scene for a good minute or two.
Yeah, we're like, oh, I could go for
that. Yeah,
with
and I'm not a big fan of Chinese food overall, but I was like, yeah, I could go for that.
Yeah.
And he ends up leading the police to the apartment that belongs to John, where at this point he now has 3 women. He'd gone to the bar and desperate, I think, to speed things up because he's running out of time, because it seems to be tied to the Mardi Gras celebration. Like, it has to have a certain number by this point. He's now got 3 of them. They're all held hostage. In fact, I'm pretty sure Sherry is one of the women, which is why Frank suddenly is like, oh, I must rescue her, that kind of thing. They raid his apartment and save the 3 women, but John runs away. He tries to escape and finds a car. And we get a very long, very silly, over-the-top, almost comical car chase action sequence around New Orleans that leads to the docks and stuff like that. And you're kind of like, when did this sort of turn into Hawaii 5-0, that kind of thing?
Yeah, just so much thrown at this film, weren't there? There's so much of it. It was like, oh.
And it's funny because I watched this around about the same time as I watched Amsterdam, which of course has that incredibly long, over-the-top speedboat chase through the canals of Amsterdam. Yeah. So for me, it was like, what the hell? How have I come across 2 movies doing a very similar thing? But it does end with John crashing into the, it's the Gulf of Mexico water there, where then when they pull the car out, they find it empty. But the mask is still there. So it's like, well, did he die? Did he drown and get washed downstream? Or is he going to come back? I don't fucking know. I don't know. Surprisingly, talking about it, I remember more about this movie than I thought I would. Which is kind of, I think, a positive, really, when it comes down to it. I remember so much detail about it. But the thing is, I've just described to you what is an 80-odd minute movie. Yeah. And what I've just described to you, I've been able to sum up in about 10. And most of it is John gets a go, kills him on the table. Yeah. That's about it. That's the basic crux of the story.
I remember more about the side story of the relationship between the police officer and the bird.
Yeah.
I remember the dancing. I remember the girls dancing in the bars because the bars look really seedy.
Yeah, the bars look good, yeah.
Yeah, there's something about the seedy bars at the time and the funky music that really stood out in my head.
Yeah.
So, but from an 80-minute film to get just those little tidbits is like...
Yeah, it doesn't stand out. There's very little that stands out. Except, I think similar to Blood Feast, actually, I'm going to do this as well, or Blood Feast is a lot earlier. I think one of the things is it's recognisable as a nasty in regards to of its time. And that's purely because the consistent and constant murder of the women and the shots they use, while crap visually, would have been... are notable. Yeah. Notably nasty for what we consider nasties to be.
Yeah, and when you talk about when you go back to Blood Feast, how 1968.
Yeah.
That's really early. You think like we've not done anything like that early. Like we did
1963 for Blood Feast, even earlier. Yeah.
Like that was same as the one we watched the other day with the whole family thing going on.
Yeah. Blood Feast was a real shocker for that period. I always remember when they find the sort of room of gore and body parts in the back, so it had, leading up to the party at the end, so it has got a lot. Mardi Gras Massacre, for all nothing around it, but the whole story, you could argue, is designed to offend a censor. Man going to find prostitutes so he can murder and eviscerate them and cut them up and offer their hearts to, something like the whole thing has a nasty feel
and
to
name
it.
To it as well, a massacre as well. If it's having that in your title, I mean, straight away you're going to be like, zinc.
It's something immediately notable. Even though calling it a massacre is debatable, I think there's about 3 or 4 victims in the end overall.
It sounds good though, doesn't it? Mardi Gras Massacre.
It does. It's got a nice ring to it. In fact, I'm 99% sure there are modern movies who have used the same title or something around that aspect, slasher movies and things like that. For me, this is a nasty that, while I recognise as one, ultimately falls short because nothing really happens. And it's so fillery. It's padded out with way too much, with not enough notable characters or interesting plot points for them. It's below average for me overall.
Same. I wouldn't. We'll go back and watch it again.
Oh, this is a one-time only job. Yeah, it's a one-time only job for this video, and that is it. That's Mardi Gras Massacre. We didn't really care for it. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?